As promised, how do I lose weight? Coach Paul here, Arpwave Beast from Steadfast. Everybody here is going to think it has to do with what's on this plate or on this instrument right here. But I'm here to share with you a bit of information that I believe, one, doesn't sell any sessions for you to come spend some time with me or the gym membership, but I believe is critical. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to eat a little bit because I've been waiting to eat this. This is from Grandma's Mini Hut. This is one of the best BLTs made probably in Douglas County, if not all of Douglas County. So I've got my grains, I've got my greens, got my vegetables and my meat in one sandwich. And then from North 40, man, their cider is spot on. I love that place. You just go in there, boom, done. Bada boom, bada bing. Cheers. So back to the subject at hand. Every good bit of information has to start with a story. Yes? I believe so. So we'll say this story starts with a lady named Miss Fox. Miss Fox, excuse me while I take a bite of this delicious sandwich. I've been waiting to do that for quite some time. Okay. Miss Fox, when I met Miss Fox, she's an attractive woman, working very hard at what she's doing. No joke. We're talking 5 days a week in the gym. We're talking 3 times a day. Miss Fox got up at dark 30. Then she took her lunch hour and went and crushed it at the gym. Then right after work, she's back at the gym. And so when I met Miss Fox, she did look pretty good, I have to admit. And upon closer investigation, I noticed a couple things. There had been some surgical intervention of a plastic kind. She had a breast augmentation, she had rhinoplasty, and she definitely had a facelift. Now, despite spending about 5 figures on her personal appearance, she was desperately trying to create an image. She wanted a very specific look. And I would say from about here up, she looked pretty great. She looked great. And honestly, I thought she looked fine, but she was very unhappy and she was in a lot of pain on top of that. So in comes into her life Paul Eckel, me, Coach Paul. So I started talking to her and I'm listening to everything she's doing, and she cannot get her legs to match the upper half of her body. Now she goes back to the plastic surgeon that she's invested a significant amount of time and energy in and finances. That plastic surgeon, God bless him, told her, no, I'm not going to work on your legs. You need to go spend a year trying to do it the old way. If that doesn't work, come see me. I met her about that time frame. And as I said, 5 days a week, 3 times a day, crushing it, working hard. So I asked her what she was doing. She's in a lot of pain. So what is exactly you're doing? She tells me that this individual who's been a fitness guru for a long time told her to do all these things. So I'm listening. She's lifting heavy loads, heavy weights, trying to work hard. And I said, why are you lifting those heavy loads? Why are you trying to move all this weight? So that's what they told me to do. I said, well, are you competing in powerlifting? Are you trying to Olympic lift? Are you a CrossFitter competing? She said, no, none of those things. I said, well, there's no reason for you to do that. Actually, she's legitimately working that hard. As I said, 5 times a week, 3 times a day. So she's doing all this work with 0 maintenance on her body. And this had been going on for a long time. We're talking years. So she's breaking down her body and not recovering. Let me take another bite of this delicious BLT. Fantastic. Back to Miss Fox. So I tell her, you got to stop all that. You're trying to create a toned body that looks great in the mirror. And for a lot of women out there, this is the phrase I hear. I want to be comfortable in my own skin. I want to feel comfortable in my own skin. Now, as a male, I can tell you I can't really define that. But I know it's very important to women. That's a fact across the board. So, for the record, I did buy this tasty beverage, and I did buy this delicious sandwich. So, North 40 and Grandma's Mini Hut is not sponsoring this, but I'm definitely endorsing them. Both outfits have great owners and a great product. Man, that's good. I don't drink beer, but I definitely like that cider. So back to Miss Fox. So I tell her, you really need to stop that. You need to up your sets, lighten your weight, increase your reps. So we go through this, the movement aspect of this exercise. But I said, this is what you really need to do if you want to change your lower half. Now she definitely had what we call stored energy, excess. The buzzword is a 3-letter word I don't really even like to use, but we'll say it for the sake of argument, fat. I call it stored energy. So we've got to reestablish to Miss Fox exactly how she views herself. We've got to reestablish a relationship because she's concerned about that mirror, concerned about how hard she's working, and she's measuring this against what she believes should be happening from the effort she's putting forward. And for all intents and purposes, no one's working harder that I know at that time to achieve that result. Back to this. This instrument here is a machine, and it's designed to do a very specific thing. Now, provided you don't have an endocrine or thyroid condition, because if you have that, then all bets are off. But if you don't have that, then just like this instrument's a machine designed to work a very specific way, the designer of our bodies created a machine that responds a very specific way. So I looked at Miss Fox, and I said, here's what you need to do. I changed her workout routine a bit, but I said, I want you to come after work. You've put in a long, hard day. You've already woken up, working out in the morning. You've already taken your lunch. I said, I want you to just take it easy at the end of the day. I want you to come in, and I want you to replace your last session where you're killing it, and I want you to do this. You're going to need a heart rate monitor that you can get a heads-up display, but I said I want you to keep your heart rate between 120 and 125 beats per minute for a minimum of 90 minutes, preferably 120 minutes, 2 hours. I said, you can use the elliptical, or you could just walk on the treadmill, doesn't matter. But you need to maintain that heart rate and not fall out of that tolerance. She said, that's it? I said, yes. Because you're already in the gym 5 days a week, I want you to do this. Just replace your last session. She said, okay. So she did it. And I said, before you do this, when the result happens, no one's going to believe that this is what you did. So I saw her about, 3 weeks later. She said, this is awesome. I don't need to do anything. I can read a magazine. I can watch a TV show. I can completely zone out. Because you got to understand, Miss Fox is used to going hard, working hard, sweating, on the grind, trying to create this appearance. But it's failing. So fast forward, I see Miss Fox about 6 months later. And I'll tell you what, she looked good before, and I didn't really see a problem, but it doesn't matter what I thought, it matters what she thinks. Just like right now, it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. And your relationship to your own self-image and reestablishing this relationship that your body is a machine, and it's designed to work a very specific way. So she came up to me, Miss Fox came up to me and said, I just happened to see her arbitrarily, and she's a very independent, very strong-minded, strong-willed woman. And she looks at me and she goes, you were right. And I look at her and I'm like, okay, about what? Because at this point, I'm not thinking about that anymore. Tasty beverage. 32-ounce curl sometimes is the right thing to do. So with that said, I said, about what? She said, it worked. I said, well, of course it did. The body's a human machine. It's designed to work that way. I said, but no one believes you, do they? She goes, no, they don't. I try to tell them and they laugh at me. And I said, I told you that would happen. She goes, yes, you did. You're right about that as well. So she looked fantastic. Her legs matched the top half of her body, bottom matched the top, bada boom, bada bing. She looked fantastic. And she was happy. And that's all that really mattered to me, because I'm sharing this, one, because it's all about quality of life, right? The average person trying to reduce stored energy, their sole concern is about, I just want to feel comfortable. I want to feel reasonably healthy. They're not out trying to compete in the local CrossFit competition or the CrossFit Games. They're not trying to bench 300 pounds or deadlift 400 pounds. They're not trying to run a marathon, and they're not going to the Spartan race in the competitive wave, or the Tough Mudder in the competitive wave for that matter. They just want to feel reasonably healthy. So, back to what I was saying originally. This information doesn't sell time with me or gym membership. But what I can promise you, if you don't have an endocrine or thyroid condition, it works. So, we need to establish a new relationship on how you view your body. So I told you, women want to feel comfortable in their own skin. Men just generally show me the way, give me the information, seems logical. Okay, I understand that. That should make sense. So let's go back and reevaluate what's really happening and what happened to Ms. Fox. Okay, so we got to reestablish a good relationship on how you view your body, and that it is a machine. It's engineered in a way that intelligent design is an actual phrase to describe the human body in a physical form. So with that said, we can't ignore genetics. So I'm 5'4". I'm not going to be 6'2". Just not going to happen. Didn't happen for me. Anything's possible. I do want to say that. Anything is possible for any human being. But I'm already established in life. I've gone through all the maturity stages. So we've got to understand there's 3 somatic body types. 3 somatic body types. So you have your ectomorph, your mesomorph, and your endomorph. The ectomorph are those skinny people. You all know them. They're like, you talk about it, he's like 125 pounds wet. Or that young female that just stays thin and doesn't even have to attempt any real effort. Then we have our mesomorph. That's basically me. You can build, you kind of have, you're not thin and you're not heavy. Then you have your endomorph. Those are the people, so if I want to break it down in a way that everyone can understand, you got your wide receiver, you got your running back, and you got your lineman. So you're going to fall in one of these 3 categories. And it's important that you understand this so that going forward, when we talk about reducing stored energy and maintaining what we're all after here, which is quality of life and the reduction of stored energy that's unhealthy for us, you've got to understand where you fit in this model. Now, can an ectomorph become an endomorph? No. Can an endomorph become an ectomorph? And can you blend these two? Yes, these things can blend. When we talk about human performance, that's a whole nother conversation that I'm going into right now. What we're talking about is health and wellness. So is it possible to change some of these things? It is possible, but the level of discipline is through the roof, and the financial commitment is through the roof. So for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say that you fall into ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. And with that understanding, you understand that the endomorph isn't going to be super thin like a twig. It's just not in the books for you. If you're a little heavy, you've always been heavy, that's fine. It's part of how you're made. And then the same thing here, the ectomorph, who's always been very, very thin, is going to gain the kind of mass that the endomorph can easily do. And then there's always the blend in between. So as we understand that, we're going to go back. So the way the body burns stored energy, because that 3-letter word I'm not going to say again, but it does start with an F. When we talk about stored energy, that happens differently for everyone. Now, some people, it ends up around the midline. Some people ends up on the legs. It just ends up in all kinds. I've seen them, some hands back here and different things. Love handles, muffin top, whatever, big belly, big gut, just different things. But the bottom line is, wherever your body seems to store this energy, if you want to lose that specific stored energy, the way to do it is this. So, back to what I was saying, the way the body works in burning that energy is, it's based off your metabolic rate established by a heart rate. So, you can take Keto, Atkins, Zone, Paleo, whatever, intermittent fasting, and for this conversation, throw it out the window. Just like I said, I'm not asking you to change your current caloric intake. What I am saying, though, is that here's how it works. So if you establish a heart rate in movement between 120 and 125 for a minimum of 90 minutes, preferably 120 minutes, 2 hours, at least 2 times a week, preferably 3 times a week, that stored energy, 95% of it will come from those trouble areas. It's the way the body's designed. So if you exceed that heart rate, which most people who are already falling off the wagon of your New Year's resolution or your fitness goals, you're going in, crushing it, you're slaying the gym, you're sweating. What I'm telling you now is you're not burning the energy that you want in the most efficient manner. I'm not going to say you're not burning energy and you're not going to create a good scenario for yourself. I'm not going to diminish your efforts. I'm going to say, good job. I'm glad you're in there. Good work. What I'm trying to establish to you is how to make it most efficient, right? Time is money, and the real currency is time. As you get older, you understand that the real currency is time. It's not money. I'll say it again. The real currency is time. So we want to make your time and your efforts to work hard more efficient. So what I'm saying is, I don't want you to change your caloric intake because you're not competing. We already established that. You just want to feel good, feel comfortable in your own skin. You want to do these things. So, again, you need a heart rate monitor that'll give you a heads-up display and you can consistently keep it in there at least 2 times per week, preferably 3 times per week. And I want you at a heart rate between 120 and 125 during that time. I find the elliptical will be the best. In 2010, I did this. And I attempted to pursue my genetic potential. I competed in runs, I competed in obstacle course races, I competed in anything that I could compete in 2010. And I did well. And I found out how strong my body really is. And it's, man, for an orphan from Bogota, Colombia, whoever my parents are, mom and dad, thank you. I can't thank you enough for the mind that was transferred to me and for the body that was given to me. You know, it's an amazing thing. So with that said, if you go outside of that heart rate up, then that 95% that I was talking about, that stored energy, that begins to change. And now you're going to burn from immediate fuel reserves. And you don't really want to do that. So, and if you're already killing it in the gym, I challenge you, kill it in the gym and add at least 1 to 2 sessions of what I'm talking about. And what I discovered in just a simple 3 weeks was I completely leaned out. I was still doing, and in 2010, I was heavily into CrossFit and strength training. So my CrossFit workouts averaged about 50 minutes. And that's 50 minutes of being in prime physical condition in 2010. I would say probably the best shape of my life. So if I were to go in your average box and pull the average CrossFitter out, it might take them 2 hours to do that, 50 minutes, if they could even get through half of it, honestly. And that's not me gloating about it. It's just I was surrounded by a group of individuals as a security contractor for another government agency that everybody was ex whatever, ex special whatever. And with that said, there's 2 things in that community. Those guys never want to get older. and they want to be better than they were in their prime. And so they're working very hard to continue to improve themselves and maintain this idea of who they are. So I learned how to do that, and in that environment, what I did when I did it on the elliptical, and when I discovered in 3 weeks, I maintained the same heart rate, but I doubled my distance on the elliptical. And I completely leaned out my body while gaining muscle mass. But that's a human performance conversation outside of the spectrum of what I'm trying to establish here with you. So what I'm saying is, if you need an easier analogy here, if you don't spend any more money than what you're spending each month, and you want to save some money or have extra money, all I need you to do is go hustle on a side job somewhere but you don't spend any more money. That money will add up, and it will be there when you need it, because you're not spending any more money than what you're making or what you're spending currently, but there's more money coming in. So same thing here with this. If you don't change your caloric intake, so in other words, just because you did 2 to 3 90-minute sessions or 220-minute sessions, don't go eating in a sense to compensate for that extra effort. All I'm telling you is just don't change it. So the next question is, excuse me. Oh, so good, so good. Oh, by the way, so this knife, if you ever get to the Washington, D.C. area, I want to throw you, I don't know, it was probably one of the finest dining experiences of my life. But there's an establishment called The Inn at Little Washington. I've been there twice. Man, what an amazing place. So if you ever happen to be there, you can Google it. I've actually stayed at the inn and had dinner there. Man, it was worth every penny. Wonderful, wonderful experience. First class, world class. So, I hope this information will help you. That's the only purpose of me doing this, is to empower you with good information. So I'm going to send you in the links too with this video, so please read the comment or read the information pertaining to this video. Is one, so when I was working with these individuals, I was given the Special Operation Forces Nutritional Guide, so the soft guide, right? That was classified, and it was the DoD provided, I think, a $10 million budget to some of the brightest nutritional minds in the United States to create the ultimate nutritional guide for the special operations community, and it's an incredible source. So I'm including a link to that because apparently it's been declassified because it was classified, and that is incredible information. If you want to lose yourself in some amazing information regarding nutritional intake, that's the place to go. If you want to discuss, I'm including in a PDF too, in a picture here, so it'll be included that. You can scroll to it, but you can see the formulas that people talk about. So what is my basic maintenance load? What's my activity? How do I know my calories? Because there's going to be people that want to count calories. I mean, they just want to. They want to get on the scale. But I can tell you, if you don't change your caloric intake, you don't change your general nutritional intake, and you add in these sessions, it'll absolutely 100% lean you out. It's just simple. It's simple math. It's how the body works. Like I said, why people don't put this information out there? Well, like I said, excuse me. It doesn't sell memberships. It doesn't sell time with a personal trainer. But with that said, so there was a lady waiting to find out, what do I do? She's like, when are you going to post your video? I said, I'm going to post it. I'll get to it. Life happened. I'm a single dad of 4 small children every other weekend. Just stuff happens, you know? So here I am at, what time is it? It's almost 11 o'clock at night working on this. So for you, free of charge, costs nothing. But she told me that someone told her that her stress changes her cortisol levels and all this stuff, and changes the chemical balance in her body, which can add weight. Now, while that may be true on some level, I told her, of course they're going to tell you that. She looked at me puzzled. Why? I said, well, if I tell you that and I get you to believe it, well, here's a simple fact. I get to sell you my program. I get to sell you my book. I get to sell you the nutritional intake charts and recipes. And then because I related it to stress, and everybody in some capacity is stressed out. At some point, you're going to engage that experience. You're going to be stressed out. And you'll be like, oh man, they said that. I can't believe I'm stressed. Man, what did they say? And you go back to all this information, but it's really much more simple than that. Now, if you're concerned about a human performance goal, example, I want to get drafted into the major league. I want to go to the MLB draft. I want to go to the combine for high school football players. That's a different conversation. I've had that conversation with a couple of parents in town. I've had the privilege of working with a young female athlete, got her a D1 scholarship. Another young athlete, got him an appointment to, helped assist in the appointment to West Point and the Naval Academy. And then another athlete I helped get to the actual draft, major league draft, since I've arrived here in Douglas County. But those are different conversations. I had another athlete say, I want to be this incredible thing on the soccer field. I said, okay, we can do that, turn you into a monster. And we did. But those are different conversations. That's not this. This is about health and wellness. This is about the quality of your life. Now there's certain things that people say, well, you should be eating this, should be drinking that. Yeah, you could go on all that. But back to what I said, we're talking about quality of life and reducing stored energy, because that excess load is not helpful really in any way. You talk about joints, you talk about diabetes, different things, yeah, you got to change your nutritional intake. But if I can just help you reduce some stored energy without getting wrapped around the axle of the next diet or fad nutritional intake, I think I've done you a great service and taken a huge emotional load off of you. And back to that, reestablishing a healthy relationship with your body. It's got an intelligent design. It's a machine. You fall into one of these body types. And as I said, if you don't have an endocrine or thyroid condition, I encourage you just to add 2 or 3 sessions a week at 120 to 125 beats per minute, treadmill, elliptical, walking, whatever, where you can read that. The more you're disciplined to stay within that 5-beat threshold, the more results you'll see. Give it a month, and you will see a dramatic result in your physical appearance. As I said, don't take that effort and now reward yourself with additional excess nutritional intake, because that's self-defeating. But continue how you're doing and just add that. And I believe if you actually do this, that it'll allow you to begin that conversation where you can establish a new relationship with food. Because that comes later. It doesn't come now. It comes later for most people, because that's a much more personal issue. And then people's relationship to food is different. But if I can get you to move in a very basic manner so that you can reduce stored energy, and for some women just feel comfortable in your own skin, and for some men just feel more vibrant and younger again, and reduce some of this visceral fat that does have enduring effects when we talk about health in the later stages of life. So, Coach Ball here. Thank you for your time, and good night, and Lord bless you, man.